40 for Rateable Crest Titans.
Last season in the all-wheel drive championship, we were treated to some fantastic battles throughout the classes. There were plenty of highs and plenty of lows and challenges out there throughout the season, with Rob Bull eventually coming out on top in that Lofthouse Freelander. Consistency for Paul Hansen Phillips would see him claiming second place in the overall standings as far as the championship was concerned, and it would be Team Tennant rounding out the podium places in 2022. The 2023 Britpart All-Wheel Drive Safari Championship, in association with Par Homes, would once again start at Walters Arena in Wales, and the entry would feature a host of new and returning faces to the championship, all keen to see themselves at the top of the class and overall points standings at the end of this weekend. First though, they'd all have to finish. Andy DiGiulio and Paul Foley make a welcome return to the series for 2023 after being away from racing in the latter half of last year. Despite, though, not being out in the car for some time, they were competitive right from the start. Why would we ever doubt them? Putting in some good times to lead with a strong margin after the morning's 4 runs. Second at this stage would be Andy Skelly. The times getting better as the morning went on for Skelly. He manages to hold on to that second spot by a small gap to third. And in that third place, and with that man up ahead in his sights, would be Simon Adams with Mark Shaw alongside. This was a brand new car for the pair, a standard Can-Am underneath the GSR space frame and shell, giving them the best of both worlds, in theory. Could they make it work out here on the course, though? They were having to make a few changes and small running repairs as they went. Let's call it development. But they were leading the class and from third place on the overall leaderboard as well. Not to be sniffed at this stage. Second in the class behind them would be Douglas Devenall Batt, making another welcome return to the championship after some successful outings last season. He ends the morning fighting for that class lead with just a 6-second difference to make up, as well as lying fourth overall. Stuart Williams was another man pushing right from the start. A little way back from our crews in the class lead battle up ahead, but that wasn't going to stop him from pushing for positions in that and the overall times. For now, 5th place was as good as it was getting. For Steve Smith, it will be 6th. Things going well at the moment. He was lying 3rd in Class 9 at this stage as well. Mick and George Chick, meanwhile, hadn't been to Walters for over a year. Back now, after ironing out a lot of problems with the car since then, and they were on a good push, leading the way in Class 7 at this stage from 7th place overall. Alan Kirkland and Sean Sabin Farrell would be finding the muddy course pretty challenging, but that wasn't stopping them from going well out there. They were putting in times good enough to take the lead of Class 8 for now, from 8th place on the overall leaderboard as well. Cy Badge and Matt Hancock would be out for the first time in that new car. Not used to a rear-engined car, so it was taking a bit of getting used to. They did almost have an off on the opening run, but they get it pieced together for the next ones, ending the morning 2nd in Class 7, just inside our top 10, with 9th place overall. And rounding out the top 10 at this stage will be Paddy and Edward Barker, 16 seconds back from Badge up ahead and lying 4th in their class as well. Philippa and James Tennant were struggling for visibility on the opening runs due to the standing water and the mud. But despite this, times were getting better. They'd come across a blockage on the course through run 3, having to take an average time, ending the morning with 11th place overall, 5th in Class 5. And Hemi Smith will be back out for her 2nd season in the car. And after a good finish in the championship standings, she'll be looking to keep improving on that pace and maintaining that confidence. Things were going well so far. 12th place after the morning's runs, a good start to the event and the championship campaign. Nick Pritchard would be the only one here in Class 3 this weekend, so you could say that position was safe. But as we know, you first have to finish, and these courses are never anything but challenging. He ends the morning with the class lead as well as 13th place overall. It wasn't quite the same story for Anthony Warts in Class 4. He did have some competition, but frustratingly for them, they were having problems. So that left him in the lead of the class and without a fight to call his own now for the remaining runs. Things were going well, though, for Harry Nicol and Emily Sibley. They felt that they could do with more power from the car on the hills, don't we all? But things were clearly still going well. They lead the way in Class 6, lying in 15th place overall. The Class 2 lead at the midpoint of the event would belong to Jonathan Harford and Daniel Drummond. It wasn't hard to see why the pair were in the lead of that class, pushing the car well, as you can see, on all of the runs so far, and keeping a lot of capable machinery and drivers behind them. For Lee Potter, it will be second place in Class 6. Consistent times throughout the morning seemed to be the theme of their day. The conditions not slowing him down or allowing for any more of a push at this stage, just holding firm and getting to the end of each run. For Nick Collins and Alison Brooke, the big challenges started before the event even started. Credit to them for even making it to the event with a little help from Mike Sheraton. An eventful start then, hopefully it isn't awkward that they're above Mike on the results. They end the morning third place in Class 7, 18th overall, and no doubt glad that they made it. This weekend at Walters will be the first proper race in the new car for Owen Timms and Adam Bristow. They'd be happy enough with how things were going so far, though, ending the morning second place in Class 8 as well as 19th place on the overall leaderboard. And the morning had been going okay, it's fair to say, for last season's championship runner-up Dipole Hansen-Phillips, but okay is as good as it would get. A bad time on the fourth run of the morning, seeing him lose around 5 minutes. The potential of a top 10 finish overall slipping away as he moves down the leaderboard into 20th place and retiring soon afterwards. For James Dennis, it will be 21st overall, lying 6th place in Class 6 as well for now. And in Class 9, it will be 5th place at this stage for Thomas Smith, losing around 6 minutes on run 3, and with that, losing around 10 positions on the overall leaderboard to lie in 22nd place for now. Reese and Sean Matheson will be competing in the Freelander Trophy this season, and they were out in a completely standard car with only the safety modifications. So that taken into account, it was going well. They open up a good lead in the class as well. It was Margaret Bakewell back out in the driving seat this season with husband Mike alongside calling the directions on the course. They end the morning 4th place in Class 7, a pretty strong 24th overall. Second place in Class 1 at this stage will belong to Alan and Daniel Wilcox. A little way back on times at least from the lead, but this class looks set to have some good competition and we'll be looking forward to some good battles to keep you in touch with throughout the season. Third in that class will be Mike Wilson and Ian Letman. Their first time back out in a standard Freelander for a number of years, and they were happy enough with the times that they were posting, just 9 seconds back from that pair up ahead. Paul Rowlands wasn't having the best of mornings, that was for certain. The times on the first runs of the day were great though. Second fastest overall in fact, but problems would start on run 3, having to pull over on the course a number of times to try and work out the problem, dropping him right down the order into 27th position. For Tim Tennant, it will be second in Class 2, ending the morning 28th place overall as well. A maximum time on run 3, affecting his overall times on the leaderboard significantly. And this weekend would mark the first ever event for Brian Birch and James Good. No big expectations as you'd expect. They just wanted to get into the flow and see what the sport was all about. They were going well though. 4th place in Class 6, themselves also getting a maximum on run 3 that would hamper their times. And it would be a slightly nervous start for Jonathan Damrell and Nick Blundell. They were running second on the road in the morning's opening run, cutting their way through the fresh mud and water on the course. Frustratingly for them, despite the event starting well, they would retire at the end of the third run of the day with the gearbox on the car breaking. Trundling over the finish line with no teeth left in there to talk about, it was game over for the pair. It had been a mixed morning for Mike Cheriton. A maximum run to start the day and a bad time on run 3 were ensuring that he was well down the order. But when things were working, they were working well. Some good top 10 times on the other runs. For now, though, it will be 31st overall. The opening event of the season would take its toll, though, challenging as ever here in this championship. We lose a number of crews through the morning, one of those being James Withers and Andy Kent. They don't make it out for run 4, and neither would Jason and Deb Worgan. They break a number of shafts on the car in run 3, resulting in one-wheel drive and needed to be towed out. Game over for the pair. Dale Wheeler and Kieran Jones would make it through 2 runs relatively trouble-free, but a maximum on run 3 would be the end of the road for the pair. A similar story too for Leighton and Luke Dodds. 2 clean runs, some good overall pace, only for that to all come to an end a little later on in the morning. And yet more attrition, this time for Thomas Parker. It would only be 1 run completed. A maximum in stage 2 meant that they were going no further. So as we reach an eventful morning here at Walters Arena, here's a reminder of those overall times at the opening round of the Britpart all-wheel drive Safari Championship in association with Par Homes. Let's get straight back out onto that muddy, wet course for the afternoon runs and take a look at how those overall results were decided. And it would be a finish on their first time out for Brian Birch and James Good, exactly what they came here for. A further maximum on the final run of the event mean that they end the day with 27th overall, but they'd also get 3rd in Class 6 to show for their efforts. You may remember things have been going well for Mike Wilson and Ian Letman, right up until run 6, that is, when they broke a wheel, having to take a maximum as a result and ending the event with 26th place. That did mean, though, a 3rd place in Class 1 finish, with some work to do on the suspension for next time out, one suspects. Mike Cheriton would be another to get a maximum on the final run, but added to the previous ones, it was just about securing his finish down in 25th overall. The times when things were good were certainly going well, so hopefully he'd get a good clean run next time out to show us what he can do in this series. Any chance of a higher position would be dashed for Jonathan Harford and Daniel Drummond. They get a couple of maximum times themselves on the final runs of the day, ending the event 24th overall. Tim Tennant, though, would have a much better afternoon. No issues to report and some good times to boot. The problems for Harford and Drummond also meant they dropped back behind Tennant on the results and handed the class win to him as well. And despite the morning's problems, the event was also going well for Paul Rowlands. He'd keep things going to the end. The times looking good, but another maximum in the final run would mean no more advance up the leaderboard. A 22nd place overall finish, the best he could do. For Alan and Daniel Wilcox, it would be 2nd place in Class 1 this weekend. They were a little off the lead in the class, but still 2nd place was a strong finish. Only 1 position back on the overall times too. And just ahead of them in the class and overall leaderboards would be Reese and Sean Matheson. They'd led the class from the start and had a good run in the new car. The father and son pairing built the car themselves last year, and it was great to see it take a first-in-class finish on its first outing in the championship. Another pair having a great event were Margaret and Mike Bakewell. The times getting better and better with Margaret behind the wheel. They'd end the event 19th place overall, 4th in the class. And with those run 3 problems out of the way, it will be a nice, clean run to the finish line for Thomas Smith through the rest of the day, moving up the order into 18th overall. The times being set in the afternoon were good enough for a top 10 finish without those issues, no doubt leaving them ruining what could possibly have been. For Anthony Warts, it would be that Class 4 victory, taking that position as well as a strong 17th overall. A good end to the event with only minor issues to contend with throughout. Owen Timms and Steve Jones, meanwhile, will be happy enough with their finish. Just getting to the end is a good feeling, particularly with the rate of attrition at this first round. They did feel that they could have gone a bit faster. More time in the car, and it'll come. They'll grow the confidence, and with that, the speed will arrive. For now, it will be second place in Class 8, 16th overall. Nick Collins and Alison Brooke would have a straightforward run to third place in Class 7. They didn't have to put a spanner on the car all weekend, apart from checking the bolts. So they'd be happy with that finish here at the first round. And for Lee Potter, it would be second place in Class 6 to end the day. Consistent times the aim of the game, ending the first event 14th place overall. Harry Nicol and Emily Sibley would be glad for an easy weekend as far as any problems were concerned on the car. They didn't have anything major to do in service, getting themselves to the finish with the Class 6 victory as well as 13th place on the leaderboard. It wasn't all plain sailing through the afternoon for our crews though, and things certainly didn't go to plan for Philippa and James Tennant. They were running in three-wheel drive for most of it, causing the car to be pretty unpredictable as you might expect. James taking over the driving for the final three runs of the event, and the pair between them getting to the end, fourth in class, 12th place overall. For Nick Pritchard, it was Class 3 victory, ending the event just outside the top 10 in 11th place overall. And sadly, we lose Steve Smith from the order when he retires on run 6 of the event after going so well, of course, prior to that. We're on to the top 10 then, and it would be a great end to the opening round for Hemi Smith. Third in the class, 10th place overall was a good way to start your season off, that is for sure. For Paddy and Edward Barker, it would be 9th place overall, the pair ending the event second in Class 5 as well with that result. And things have pretty much gone to plan for Cy Badge and Kieran Fogarty, avoiding any issues and punctures to end the event second place in Class 7, 8th place overall. This was their first event with Kieran co-driving, and he loved every minute of it, I'm pleased to report. Another crew, all smiles by the finish, were Alan Kirkland and Sean Sabin-Farrell. It had been a challenge with the conditions, but they managed to get to the end with a Class 8 victory, as well as 7th place overall. Mick and George Chick were happy too. They'd managed to keep up a good pace throughout the afternoon, avoiding those punctures that had seemed to affect so many other crews, and the course had started to cut up. They were more than happy with a finish of 6th place overall, victory in Class 7. And Stuart Williams would keep things neat and tidy as he went through the afternoon to end the event 5th place overall. With the podium positions not claiming class awards, it also means he takes first in the Class 5 trophy this weekend as well. There's more frustration though for Andy Skelly this time. A drop back on the order through the afternoon with problems on the car which would need sorting. He'd need to be catching up some runs towards the end of the day, but only manages to get himself a 4th place finish. He does though take Class 9 victory for his efforts. On to the podium places then at the end of a pretty hard-fought weekend, and that's just man-machine against the course. It will be 3rd place for Douglas Devenall-Batt. A strong finish, a great start to the season, less than half a minute back from 2nd place as well. So a pretty close fight at the end of the day, boding well for round 2. Simon Adams and Mark Shaw would be more than happy with how things had gone this weekend. The new car had done exactly what they'd asked of it. Being back in a UTV, albeit one that looked a little bit different, meant that the rough course wasn't a problem for the pair. They get to the end of the event with a fantastic 2nd place overall. And all of that means it was an equally happy Andy DiGiulio and Paul Foley making it out to the end on top here at round 1. After a season of problems and a lack of time in the car in 2022, it was great to start the season off with a bang and take maximum points away from the opening round towards their championship campaign. So round 1 is complete. Here's a look at those final results here at Walters Arena.
Yeah, rough. I think it's one of the roughest courses I've done in years. I mean, the first part Real off-road, yeah. I can see why there's a lot of cars braking. I'm just delighted to get to the end, because even that last lap you're thinking, is something going to break or snap? Because it's really rough out there.
Yeah, excellent run, yeah, for the first time out in the new car. A lot less stress, a lot less hassle than the other car. Hopefully it's a sign of things to come. Reliability, it's a bog standard Can-Am basically underneath the body. It's a good few years since I raced Can-Am, but I seem to get back into it. Walter suited the car really well. It got rougher and rougher, but the car went better and better. A few issues we couldn't see. We had a lot of water coming up through the shocks. Went into limp mode on one lap, but other than that, excellent. Thank you. Yeah.
It's been great fun. We've had an absolute blast, to be honest. A bit wet this morning, as you can see, but we've had a lot of fun today.
It's been rough out there. Have you found the conditions?
It's not really that bad in these things. They ride the rough so well, to be honest, but it's been real good flowing course. Tired. I'm tired now.
Next up for the cruise is a trip to Dorset for the Clouds Hill event in a few weeks' time. We will, of course, be there to bring you all of the action. And in the meantime, you can keep up to date with any news by checking out the All Wheel Drive Club page on Facebook. Thank you for watching. See you next time in Dorset.